We fixin' to make this town real smoking.
Lee Chaolan is easily one of the most underused characters in all of Tekken. Been there from the start, yet the story has progressed pretty much nowhere. The whole reason Lee was introduced into Tekken is because Heihachi wanted to motivate Kazuya. I want you to be the best thing possible, but if you are not, I will replace you. And then he went and adopted Lee. He used Lee as the rival to Kazuya to motivate him, to push him to go farther and further and further. At the very beginning, Lee was the counter, the rival to Kazuya Mishima, both of them striving for a goal that they realistically can never achieve because Heihachi would never allow them to obtain it. But for Lee personally, since he was not a true Mishima, not by blood, he always was kind of on the outside, looking in. I think the Tekken motion picture showcases this perfectly.
As long as my brother's alive, then I'm the adopted son with second-rate clout.
The insecurities within the character is on full display, trying to do absolutely everything to gain Heihachi's approval, but at the end of the day, it only bites Lee. What makes Lee so dangerous is not his fighting capabilities. He's not a Mishima, he can't go Devil Gene, he can't do electric. Lee's ultimate weapon is his brain. Being able to outsmart, outthink his opponent is how he was able to survive and rise all the way up into the top. Lee is kind of like the mirror opposite to Kazuya. Kazuya used brute strength and the Devil Gene to take over everything he laid his eyes on. Lee, however, used his brain. Even though Violet Systems was established very early on in Tekken, nothing has ever been done worth mentioning. Just like Lee, Violet System has always been lurking in the background. We get glimpses and hints at what it can do in like character endings and story. We see Combot a few times, but nothing canonical, nothing of true value. The issue only got worse in Tekken 6. When Lars showed up, Lee really took a backseat. In my opinion, that should have been his moment to shine, when Violet Systems could have really showed up in force and given us exactly what we've been looking for all this time. But it wasn't all doom and gloom because they did kind of combine these two. Yggdrasil wasn't strong enough to compete with the Mishima Zaibatsu on their own, so they teamed up with Violet Systems. We had glimpses at their partnership, what they would be capable of in Tekken 7. We saw Lee use his ultimate weapon, his brain, to reset Alyssa, to clear out all of the mind control stuff that Jin has instilled in the character. But other than that, nothing really happened in Tekken 7. Lee was just there, looking good, smiling, making jokes, and driving helicopters. That's pretty much all he's been doing in the past couple of days. The best depiction of Lee, in my opinion, is the motion picture. In the motion picture, we get this look at like a twisted but fractured person. You can see that this character is really worried about their place in the world. How are they going to keep up with the Mishimas? This power is all that they see. Power is everything. But once again, they can't really match that kind of like output. They can only outsmart them, outthink them. Lee in the motion picture is constantly trying to outthink everyone because that's his ultimate weapon. Over the past Tekken games, that's been left out. This character has been like simplified and turned into kind of like a sidekick. When I theorize about what Tekken 8 can do and what could happen, you know, each and every character, who will kill who, Jin, Kazuya, Lars, whatever. When I focus on Lee, what I would want to see out of them it's just a backstab. This character has been laying dormant for so long, not doing anything, kind of just going with the flow. Oh, Lars, you want to do this? Okay. Jin, you want to do this? Okay. And I feel like that's not really what the character is. Seeing the character kind of just playing the game, waiting, buying their time, and then once again, when an opportunity rises, they strike, they backstab everyone, and they take the throne for themselves. That's what I want the character to do. I don't know if that's what Tekken is setting up, but what I saw in Tekken 8 could possibly be that. In Tekken 8, there's a billboard. You have Combot's face on it. The red eyes are glowing. The words is what really captured my imagination. It says, "Always by your side. Excellent humanoid company, Violet Systems." Violet Systems, a robotic partner that accompanies you day and night, connecting people with future via technology. The reason why this billboard is so special is because, one, it's Combot, a character that a lot of people are invested in and we want to see return in Tekken 8 in one way or another. But what this is telling us in the world of Tekken 8 right now is that this robot is being deployed across the world as sort of a robot that assists you with your daily duties. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Boston Dynamics, but they create a lot of robots to help like construction workers and, do all of this stuff, right? That's what Combot is in the Tekken universe, a helping hand type of robot. But we know as the viewer that with a flick of a switch, Combot can become a killing machine. We've seen it so many times in character endings, canon and non-canon, what this robot can do. The fact that Vital Systems is ran by Lee, and Lee is supposedly a good guy, working with Jin to save the world and Kazuya the Devil Gene and all of that stuff. You have to wonder, why are you putting this robot with the capabilities of taking down world-class fighters? Why are you putting that all across the world? What are you setting up? Something that players often think about but we haven't yet got there is what comes next. Jun Kazama, Jin, Kazuya, that's happening right now. If Kazuya dies, if Jin dies, if the Devil Gene is destroyed, whatever happens in Tekken 8 happens. I'm pretty sure Lee is going to survive until the next game, as they always have. Once again, if we go back to this whole playing the good guy role, teaming up with Lars and Jin, you could kind of see that as like a big brain strategy. Team up with all of them, take out Kazuya, and then maybe they can self-destruct in the process like Jin wants to do, and then boom, you activate Combot, and who's there to stop you? Lars? Jun Kazama? There's some strong fighters, but how strong are they in compared to an army of Combots? Deploying this one robot across the world is by far the most important thing that I've seen in Tekken in a very long time. In Tekken 8, Harada already established that the story is going to be very unpredictable. Now more than ever, is a time when this character and characters like Lee can have a profound impact on the story, unlike anything we've seen in the past. Right now they're focusing on Kazuya, Jin, and Jun, but I wouldn't be surprised if another character shows up in a major way.